Hi there, it's Michelle from CNC Designs. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in New Zealand, and I'm bringing you another Global Monthly Video Hop. So once a month, I get together with demonstrators from around the world, and we make videos based on a theme. And in the description below this video, you will see links to hop over to the other videos for the demonstrators that are participating. And this month's theme is Fun Fold. So you'll be able to see lots of different ideas of making cards and designs using some fun folds. It also happens to be the first month for the new Stampin' Up! Annual catalog. So this is the front of the catalog here, and this catalog is valid from May 2nd, 2023 to the 30th of April, 2024. So if you don't already have a catalog, you can get one from Stampin' Up! From your demonstrator. Or if you don't have a demonstrator and you live in New Zealand, you can go to my website, michellekirchley.stampinup.net, to contact me and ask for a catalog, and I'll post one out to you. I can also send you a link so you can view the catalog online as well, a virtual catalog. But that's only for New Zealand people. If you want to see one and you're in another country, you can either ask your demonstrator, or if you don't have one, go to stampinup.com and find a demonstrator that lives near you. So with the new catalog, I'm using some of the new products to do the fun fold that I'll be showing you. I will also list in the description below the products that I'm using and the product codes, so you can order them easily. The product code should be the same in any country that you're in, but the prices will be different. So I don't list the prices below in the description, just the name and the product code number. So for the samples that I did, I used the new Crafting With You stamp and dies. I'll be using a different stamp for today's to show you how to make the card today, but the card that I've already tried out, I use this set. It comes with lots of lovely images and some dies that cut out parts of that, but it also has, in the Crafting With You dies, extra dies that cut out. This cuts out to look like a paper trimmer. We've got a hoop for stitching, we've got a ruler, a basket, a woven basket. We've got some little bits that do thread that can go inside the little spools, and some buttons and some hearts and little flowers and stars, as well as some really cute scissors that you could put a brad in and actually use them, make them move like proper scissors. So I made a couple cards with this set already, trying out this fun fold because I've never done it before. So here's the first one that I did. And I'm not sure what the name of this one. I think it's called a step card because there's like steps off the side of it. I'll look it up later and probably put it in the description of my video, the actual name. So there's like 3 steps on the side here. It's made with one normal size piece of cardstock, so it's like a normal card size, but the way you cut it gives you this look on the side. So this has got 3 steps here. I've got some old DSP on here, but so this is the trimmer. It just cuts out that image, but I colored it in, and then I cut up the ruler to put it the side to make it look more like our actual Stampin' Up! Trimmer. So let me bring the trimmer in. So see how the top has that shape there? And then this part actually pulls up. That's the part for the slide on the trimmer. And it comes with an extra little piece that you could have for either your cutter, darker color, or your scorer. And then it has lines on it, a little groove on there because that's showing the arm that pulls out. So I added the extra bits at the top to show the measurements, top and bottom. And then I put a little piece of paper in there, cut it a bit, and made it look like you're in the middle of cutting that. This looks like our cut and emboss machine, and then I just put a little piece of cardstock on there that was leftover embossing. So it looks like I've just emboss something. The scissors die cut in 2 separate pieces, and I cut them once in the silver foil and then again in black cardstock, and then just cut the bottom part off the black cardstock and glued it up the top to give it that look. And with this design, I made it, and when I first made it, it was quite floppy. It kept opening up, and I didn't like that, so I ended up doing mirror images of the paintbrushes as well as the sign and glued them on the back to make it sturdier so it doesn't flop open. I don't know if I was doing it wrong or if that's just a fault of that design. So that's the one card, sending you a handmade hug. And then on the back we have the "You inspired me and life is better when you're crafting." And then the other card that I made, so I made that, and then I wanted to make another card, but I didn't really have enough for all 3 parts, and I didn't think it showed enough in that middle part, so I redesigned it, and I made it a 2-step card. Now, I don't know if there's other videos out there doing that. I haven't seen them. I just measured and made it into a 2-step, and that's what I'm going to show you today, is how to make the 2 arches or steps on the side. So then I use the rest of the products in here, and I put them all together and had lots of fun playing with it. So that's where the die makes it looks like it's thread and then the bobbin to put the thread on. And then you get buttons, you got stars and flowers, a little basket. So there's a basket that it will die cut and emboss, and there's also one that you can stamp and it will cut out. So I did this one, and I threw a bunch of different types of ribbon in there to make it look like it's a fabric basket. And then that one just looks like it's knitting. And I love how this piece of ribbon looks like it's been knitted because of the lines on there. And then little scrap ribbon there. That's how the ribbon comes, but it almost looks like, you know, you're sewing the pieces together. And then on the back here, I did the same, putting one, I didn't want the mess behind there to be shown, as well as it keeps it from flopping open. And then I did the reverse imaging stamp to do the back side of the sewing machine. That's why it's not quite so dark as that one. You can probably look up videos to find out how to reverse image stamp. I use the Stamparatus to do that. And then I even used, you know, all the extra bits. Used pens to color the different parts of the stamp to get it the different color messages. So that's how we got the 3 different colors on there. Just color part of the stamp with your pens, huff on it, and then stamp it. So that was the other card that I made with this set. Now I'm going to show you, like I said, how to make this style of card, but we're going to use a different set. So I'll pop those aside for now. This time we're going to use the Stamped with Love stamp set. This doesn't have any dies, so I had to do some fussy cutting. But this is one of our Angel Policy stamp sets. So you can find it on page 117 in the new annual catalog. And there it is. So those are the images there. And it mentions the Angel Policy. Now, if you want to make money by selling any projects that uses Stampin' Up! Images, whether you're a demonstrator or just a plain customer and you don't sell Stampin' Up! Products, but if you want to use any of the images to make money, you must put Stampin' Up's copyright on the products. That's explained in the Angel Policy. So they're okay with you making money selling products with their images as long as you put that on there to show that Stampin' Up! Has created the images that you're using. So the policy is written out there on page 117, and that's why they always have at least one stamp set in the catalog that has a stamp that has the copyright Stampin' Up! On it, so you can stamp the back of your cards. So you must stamp the back of any cards or anything else, 3D projects you make that use any Stampin' Up! Images to be legal, to legally sell them. They don't care that you make money off of selling the products as long as you give them credit for the images that they have created, which is wonderful because I go to craft markets all the time and I do make money selling projects that I make, but I make sure I stamp the back. And as I'll show you here, that's one from one of their old sets. And then I put my details there in case somebody likes it. They can contact me and order more. Sorry about the sniffing. I just suddenly started having a sneezing attack at the start of the video. So I keep having sniffles. Don't know why. Anyway, so let's get started with this project. So using this set, I've already, I decided I'm going to go with a red, white, and blue theme. So I've already stamped, heat embossed, and then fussy cut the post box. And then I took a pen, black pen, and I just colored in that part for where the envelope is going. So hopefully you can see it's a bit shiny because it's heat embossed. I already stamped the image of the envelope and I colored in the pen. I also used the words "I like you" stamped inside that image, so you can stamp it separately. Those words do fit. The "I like you" will fit inside that stamp. The other words, if you want to put the "love you always," you can stamp it into that space, but it won't fit inside the stamp. But here's the stamp there, and you can actually fit that one inside when you go to stamp it. However, I stamped them separately just to make sure that I lined it up the way I wanted it to go. So I stamped that in Tombow. Not Tombow, sorry. My nose has got me sniffling. Memento. I stamped it with Memento ink, Tuxedo Black ink, and then I used my Stampin' Blends to color the pen in. There's a teeny tiny stamp that does a little heart. It's so cute. So I did it on the little postage stamp on there. I've also done it on some of the envelopes. So I also made lots of little envelopes. And the way I got those envelopes, I will show you, is taking the big post box stamp. I simply inked up around the envelope that's in the middle. So just the ink on that envelope. And then taking a scrap paper that's big enough for that envelope. So see, I've stamped on the back of that. So little scrap paper, bigger than the size that you want. And then just set it over what you want, the image you want, and just press with your fingers just over that. And then you've got the little envelope. And then it's just a matter of cutting it out. Now I cut these because you missed the edge of the envelope there, but I cut them just straight. So I just did them as they were as if they were rectangles. So I have extra to glue down. Now I'm going to glue them down so you don't actually see that one corner. So I just cut them out. And so yeah, that's corners there, but when I glue them down, I'm going to glue them in a way to hide that corner. So that's how you can do that little envelope. And then also, if you want, you can just put a little swatch on it. I don't know if you ever did that. I used to do it when I was young all the time. I used to put on the back SWAK, meaning sealed with a kiss. Well, that's sealed with a heart, actually. But yeah, I used to do that on the back of my envelopes, especially ones I sent to a boyfriend. The other thing you need is your card base. So the card base here, I'm going to show you and cut it in front of you so you get it, you see exactly how to do it. Oh, another thing I did too is I stamped a larger envelope and then I cut out the little postage stamp. That's what I'm going to use to cover up that little part when I put the card together, and you'll see. So I have a little tiny postage stamp as well. So for the card, I redesigned it, so we're going to have 2 folds here. So here in New Zealand, we have A4 size paper. If you're in another country using letter size, it's very similar. Cut it in half so that we have the rectangular side. I cut it on the long side, and that gives me an A5 size. And then normally we score it down the center at 10.5, and that gives us an A5 size card. Now with this one, we don't want to score all the way across because, as you see, I don't want the fold line to go onto this side here. So cut it at our, I've already cut these 2, so that was my A4. Cut it in half, so now I have an A5 size. Pop that aside. And then we're going to score it at the places that I've marked on here. So what you want to do first is you need to get your score line here and then have your cut before you do your other score lines. So that's 10.5 centimeters, and that's the, that's 14.85 centimeters across that way, which is half an A4 sheet. And then this is the long ways, which is 21 centimeters. So we're going to start with our trimmer. And I don't want to cut it at the moment, so I'm going to slide that out of the way. I just want to do the score lines. And on mine, when you buy your trimmer, the numbers here are in imperial, so inches, but you can buy a metric arm. And so I've purchased a metric arm and put it in there, so the numbers on this side are actually in centimeters, which is quite helpful. So this section here is only going to be, let's see, where's my ruler? One thing I forgot to put on there. Yeah, it is 9. So I'm only going to score over 9 centimeters, and then the rest I'm going to do. So on here, because I've got the 9, I can slide it down to the 9. So I want it to be at 10.5. And I only want to score down to the 9. Now, if you can't see that, sometimes it's helpful to put a piece of washi tape to show where you should stop, but I can actually see it, and I will show you in a minute. So I'm going to score to the 9. Hopefully you can see. Oh. So I'll take that out, might be easier to see. So see, there's the measurement. Now these lines on the side and on those parts, so that shows where the score line is going to go, or the cutting blade. And this shows where the score line or the cutting blade is going to stop. So you can use those little lines on here to indicate where you're going to go to. So I can pop that back in at 10.5. And because that's already sitting at the 9, I can give it more pressure and go back up. So now I've got a score line that doesn't go the whole way. So now I want to cut this part here. So I'm going to start at 4 centimeters at the top. So easier to put my blade, have it pointing right at 4 centimeters. So can you see I've got that line pointing right at the 4 centimeters right there. Believe me, it is. So kind of hard to show because I can't show the trimmer in the whole thing. So again, I'm going to leave this over at 9 because that's as far, this section I want to be 9 centimeters. So this is at 9. We've got that starting at 4 centimeters, and I want to come down to 14.5. Now, if you don't have a trimmer like this, you could just take pencils and draw your lines on the underside, because once you do it, you're not going to see the underside, okay? So you could measure all that out with pencils. But I've got the trimmer, and I like how I like to use it. So I'm just checking down this side. 14.5 is there. Okay, so I'm going to come down from 4 to 14.5. There we go. Okay. So that's got our 4 down to our 14.5. All right. So roughly. I might have gone too far, I'm not sure. Put the blade away, and now we want to score on this section here. So we want to score 4 centimeters. So just up to the cut line. So here we go right from the top up to the cut line. And so that's the start of ours. Okay. Then we want to score at 8 centimeters. So again, the top up to the cut line, which, there we go. And that's our 8 centimeters. Hopefully you can see that. And then the last one we want to do is 14.5, which should be the bottom of our line. I might have cut that line too long, but that's okay. Oh, I didn't. Okay. So see, we got 1, 2, 3 score lines there and 1 there. Now this is where you have to be careful the way you fold it. Okay, so you want this on the right-hand side, but you want the tall part in the back. So do that part down, and then you're gonna fold this bit up there. And as you fold those two pieces together, it's gonna naturally make the center fold where it needs to be. So this is half your card size. So that's a normal A6 card size. So that would be a normal card opening like that. Okay, so hopefully you got that. I will leave this here for a second if you want to take a screenshot of that. Hopefully you can see it. Okay, so if you want to take a screenshot of that. And then the panel for the back to write on is 8.5 by 10 centimeters. Now, if you're somewhere doing inches, you can always just put it into a conversion on Google to get your closest size, or, you know, make your own template beforehand and figure out what's the best measurements. Sometimes it's easier to cut your cardstock slightly smaller to get the correct numbers. I think I did that with this one here. Instead of starting out with the card, the whole side was 21 centimeters. I think I cut it down to 20. Yeah, you can see that. So see how it's slightly shorter? In order to get the measurements for the 3, because it didn't work out well. When you got 2.5, it doesn't, like 12.5, it doesn't work very well. So that's why we got that there. Okay, so then the back panel is 8.5 by 10. So that's going to go here. Now, if you want, you could cut, you know, an L-shape one or put more cardstock there. But I'll show you what I do with the back, so you don't really need that. So that's our back panel. And where's my bone folder? And see, it kind of opens up and slides like that, which I didn't like. So I reinforced, burnished my score lines best I could. But it was still doing that, and so that's why I put the back parts to those other cards. So that's my template, and there's my card here. Okay, so this is going to be the back, and this is going to be the front. So I'm thinking about doing something like kind of like that, and with the envelopes all, you know, floating around on this side is kind of what I was thinking. Now, I did one already, and I cut the little corner off because that, as I showed you how to do the envelope earlier, I'm going to stick it there so it looks like you've got an envelope going in. So we'll just grab a little bit of Tombow, put on there, and pop it in. So it looks like you've got the little envelope being posted. I usually take a block to give it a good pressure. So that's going to be sitting there. And then I'm going to have a pile of envelopes down there. But this looks a bit too plain. So I already die cut. Oh, and by the way, this is the Blueberry Bushel color that's come back into the color range for Stampin' Up. And this is real red. So I'm going with the red, white, and blue theme. So I was thinking of doing something like that, but I didn't like how square it was, so I was thinking I might go with the circle. Now those dies come from the Stylish Shape dies. So you've got squares, circles, and some banners in that set. So I was going to go like that, but I'm thinking it looks a bit plain in the background. So I'm going to try out a couple things. And I'm going to try it out on the inside because you won't see the inside. So I was thinking of possibly just stamping maybe some more envelopes in the background with Versamark and see how they look. So here's my Versamark here, and just maybe overlap some of these envelopes. So let's just see what it looks like if I do a bit of it here. So with Versamark, it just gives you the kind of the wet look, and it's not really dark. So you can see that. So if I had that, and then I had this on top of it, it does give a bit of interest behind there. My other thought was doing it tone on tone. So using the Blueberry Bushel and doing the same thing. You'll see how it's going to be much darker. I'm just thinking I don't want to do it where it's going to be that noticeable. So Blueberry Bushel. And then maybe, you know. So, see, the Blueberry Bushel shows up much darker. I'm thinking that's too dark. It almost looks like black, even though that is Blueberry Bushel. I think I'll go with the Versamark. I think I like that idea. And that'll just break up the background. You could put designer series paper if you have that, like I did for this card. Or if you have a lot of things to decorate, you could just leave the background plain and put all your decorations there. There's my cleaning pad. So I'm just going to clean that off, and I'm just going to go with Versamark. Go a little crazy with the Versamark so it looks like there's a bunch of envelopes in the background. And I don't want to get glue onto there. The back of it, I'm going to put the words, so you get a card. So the front says, I like you. The back says, so you get a card. And I think I will stamp the image on there with the words inside it. But let's just do some Versamarking and see how that looks. Okay. So Versamark is a clear, sticky ink. Most people use it for things like heat embossing to get the powder to stick. But I'm going to use it just to put there. Now I don't want it to come over onto the other side there, so I'm just going to cover that with some paper. And then just do some images. Try to get some of the stamp part showing up. maybe go over like this. And it's just going to give you an interesting background to look at. Just because I thought then it would just look a little boring with a bunch of blue background and nothing else. You could maybe do some blending, you know, with your blending brushes, or some splatter parts. So if we have a quick look at that, that's looking, I'll hold it up in a minute, that's looking much better. That's not as dark as I'd like, but I think I'll carry over the theme right to the edge. And I might just put a pen going on that one there. And then maybe a stamp on that top corner. There we go. Okay. And I might try a stamp just in this corner. No, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. Okay, I think that's probably good enough. All right, better stop before I go too crazy. So, what we've got now is, it looks like I've stamped with ink all over the back, but that's actually just Versamark. Okay, so now this is going to have a bit more interest behind it. So I think I'll stick down my, I'll do that in a minute. I'll stick down, so if I stick this down, it's going to flop open. And you're going to see that in the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stamp on another piece of card the same image, and then fussy cut it so I can put it on the back. So where's my black ink? This is what I get for doing something that I haven't actually fully designed yet, but I like to change things up. So you can see a lot of different things. Plus you can see that not everybody, even us demonstrators, don't always get it right. So this is just a scrap of red. That should be the right size. And the reason I'm not doing this the opposite, the mirror image, like what I did here, that I did the mirror image, where you stamp it onto some window sheet or a bit of plastic, and then you put the paper over that, so you get the mirror image of that. It's not quite as clear, but this has words in it. So if I did the mirror image, the opposite side would say TSOP. It would be backwards. So that's not good. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this is, instead of just fussy cutting it, if I fussy cut it like that, then when I put it on the back, it's going to have the edges in the wrong place. So I'm going to fussy cut the sides, and then I'm going to figure out where I need the top edges to go. So I'm just going to gently, I'm going to do it a bit wide, because I can fix it up later. Now I want this to be on the back of this guy here, and it doesn't matter if I've got a bit of red showing out the side. That will be fine. So I'm just going to glue just the top part because I need to put it over this edge here. So I'm just going to put glue just on this top. And then I can trim the edges off. So I'll put that up there. And then I'm going to just see where my edges are. And then give them a gentle trim, just to give me the shape at the top that I want. I'm just going to gently trim it around what I've already got there and what I've got here. Just sort of give it the same shape. There we go. And that's just going to help with holding the card together, and you won't really notice the edges as much because it's all the same colored cardstock. So I'm going down that straight part, but see how that sticks out? See that part there sticks out? That's because that's the curved part there. So if I cut it exact, I wouldn't lose that there. And see that curved part there? Nope. Doesn't quite match the front side. So that's why I've opted to do it this way around. So it looks good enough on the back because you don't really notice that much, and in the front it looks like you've just got the red on the side. Okay, so now I'm going to stick that. I'm going to put glue on the bottom. It doesn't matter that edge because that's going to be on the other side, so you're not even going to notice it. So I can actually trim that little edge off because it's going to be on the opposite side. If you're confused, don't worry, it'll make sense in a minute. So now I'm going to open it up, put a bit of glue on either side with it open, making sure I have the shiny side in the front. I'm just going to slip that down over here. And I think I glued too much at the top because I want it to come right down. Pull it up a bit. There we go. I want it to slide right down so the card isn't going to be up. The card's not going to be sticking up too far. Okay. This is not going together as well as I had hoped, but it will work in the end. I will make it work. So let's slide that right down. There we go. Because you don't want whatever's on the side, you don't want it higher than the side of your card or it's not going to fit in the envelope. There we go. Aha! It worked. There we go. So we have a matching one on the back and that one. So I could have heat embossed that as well, but I thought the back, I'm just going to leave it more plain than the front. The front is what I want everybody to have a good look. So the back, just, oh, got some black on my bone folder. Don't know where that came from. All right, so then that holds it so it doesn't open up too far. So that's going to hold it closed. All right, now we're going to stick our little image here. And as you can see, it's not the first time I did this one. So don't waste your cardstock. Remember, there's two sides to every piece of cardstock. So when you mess up one side, turn it over. And I'm just going to pop that onto the circle. To keep from getting too sticky on my hands, I just use my blocks to help press it down. Okay. Now that's going to go there. And this part here, I'm just going to put a bunch of little envelopes. So I might have them coming across the bottom. So I'm going to pop that up with a few dimensionals. There we go. So if you're going to do this type of card, I suggest you do your little template and then you figure out what part's going to go where. You know, you could have, the nice thing with this is you can actually have things hanging over the side if you want. Hanging over here, so you could have something in the background but something hanging off the side there, leading to that. And I'm just going to put it slightly at an angle, like here. So I've got the scissors are slightly hanging over and this part is slightly hanging over. So you have the benefit that you can have things hang over the side for this style card because it folds like that and then it just sits like that on the table. Okay, so let me design how I want my little envelopes to go. I might just have them kind of in a little pile. So see, I'm covering up the little corner, but I left it there so I could use it. And then like I can, oh, I'm just going over that corner because I just don't like, oh no, I'll just maybe just across the bottom. Start with that and just have them come over. I got some glue on my thumb. Just have them kind of come over randomly. And then maybe that there, and then we can have our little stamp sticking out. So something like that. Okay, I'm going to pause it and I'm going to glue these together and then finish the back of it. Okay, so I've just glued them all along the bottom and with that little stamp covering up that little corner. So each one was covering up the little corner so you don't actually know it's not there. So there it is. I'm just thinking that might be big enough to put the, so you get a card down at the bottom. Might, I'm not sure. Might leave that. So the back, I was thinking, would have the envelope, the big, this part here on the back. And then just the words. So you get a card. So that's going to go back here. And I think I might do the, so you get a card in blue and do, I might color the pen in red. We'll do this. So you get a card in blue. So that did not do the top corner. So see how I'm missing the top corner of the D, but the ink is still, oh, the ink is still on the stamp. So being a clear stamp, if I go careful enough, I should be able to line up and press the part I missed. There we go. Because the ink was still there, I didn't re-ink it, I just pressed it again to get the image to finish. So, another tip for you. I'm full of tips today. Maybe I'll leave the pen as is and just put the heart. Now, doing this heart, I keep doing it slightly off center. I was showing my daughter and she's like, you're going off to the side. So let's see if I can center it better. Yep, I'm still slightly going off center. So that's the back of the card. And then the other thing, because as I said, I sell my cards, is I need to put the Stampin' Up logo on the back. I also put my details on as well. So there's the Stampin' Up logo, and I just need a block. And it's always on the back of whatever I sell, but because the back of this card is where you're actually going to write, I'm putting it on the dark side, the blue, and it won't be quite as noticeable, but it is there, so I'm legally covering myself if I do sell this card. And I'm just going to put it down there. So this one is much bigger than the normal copyright stamp that I use, because as you can see, that is actually quite small and this one is quite large. But it doesn't matter which one you use as long as it's one of the Stampin' Up! Ones. So you could have one from years ago that you are able to use. That's perfectly fine as long as it says copyright Stampin' Up! Then you are covering yourself for using their images to make money. So if you're just making cards to, you know, give to friends or family and they're not going to be on sold, then that's fine. You don't need that. But I do it to all my cards just to cover myself, as well as I like to put my actual logo on there. I must have some ink in my fingers. I'm getting a bit there. So there you go. So that's the two-step side card. So hopefully the lighting's better. So there you go. You got I Like You with all the envelopes in the background, a bunch of little ones going to the post box, and then you turn it over and it says so you get a card. So this is the only reason I did that is, well, two reasons. One, to hold it so it doesn't flop open, and because you are looking at the back of the card, if I didn't do that, you just see the big red part on the back. So that's why I chose to do that, and it stands up like that, and you can just fold it to fit in a normal envelope. And so then I'll bring my other ones in. So this was done with the new Stamped with Love set. There's no dies with that set. It's just a stamp set. And then these were done with the Crafting with You, which is a new one in the annual catalog. And so we've got our 3 and our 2. And then you can turn them around and have your images on the back as well. So I hope you enjoyed that and give it a go. Make sure to click on the links below in the video to hop over to see what other demonstrators have been making, what other fun folds they've been making, and hopefully they've been using some of the new products from the new catalog, because there's so many cute things in there. I'm just going to love crafting with that. If you're in New Zealand and want to purchase anything from me, you can go to my site, michellekritchley.stampinup.net. If you want to come to any classes, if you live local in the area near Tuakau, you're welcome to come to classes. I do have an events calendar shown on my page as well. And I'll just flip these over again one more time. So if you want to see the front of everything for the Global Monthly Video Hop. So have a lovely day, and thanks so much for watching. Bye.